sharing the road, being alert and aware, especially for those operating vehicles much smaller and more vulnerable than our automobiles. It's something many of us might have on the forefront of our minds when we get behind the wheel.
And for those of us here at Draper Media, it's a hard thought to shake considering we lost our owner, Mr. Tom Draper, to a tragic accident when he was fatally struck during a bike ride back in 2017. And
to honor him and others, and most importantly, to try to prevent this sort of thing from happening again, there's a group that's coming together to raise awareness. We would like to introduce to you Sarah Lee Monroe. She is the organizer for the Ride of Silence on the Eastern Shore, along with John Foley, who is an avid cyclist. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having
us. We've got questions for you, but I want to ask real quick about the white bicycle. Explain that to me.
So internationally, when a cyclist is hit and killed in a driver versus cyclist crash,
right.
Traditionally, a ghost bike is placed
at the location?
At the location of the crash.
Okay. So if we see a white bicycle out there, that's what that means. You said this is an international thing.
It is. It's grassroots. There's no trademarks, no affiliation. It's just May is Bike Month. On the third Wednesday in May, all around the world, in 200 countries and over 400 communities, a ride of silence takes place to commemorate, honor, and remember those who can no longer ride with us.
Wow.
And what made you get involved here on the Eastern Shore?
I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and I lost a dear friend in 2015 who was run over by a drunk driver at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning during an organized group bike ride. He was 3 days in the hospital. And I came here as an avid cyclist and realized there's just not the awareness that I need to be on the road.
Yeah. Well, we're sorry for your loss. Can you, this is a terrible question to ask, and I hate to ask it, but I think it's something that's going to help us put it in perspective. Do you know any statistics about how many people have been hit, how many people have been lost?
There is a statistic that approximately 4% of the vulnerable road users, we make up about 4% of vulnerable road users. Of that 4%, we are 25% of the deaths.
Oh my goodness.
It's huge.
Wow. We need to be careful.
But you have a great time when you get out there. Why do you love bike riding so much?
Yeah, come on, John.
Maybe you could
share that one.
Well, it's a great way to see the world. I've ridden across Europe and Japan, and when I was in Washington D.C., rode all over the place. But it's a great way to exercise. You're not too slow when you're running and too fast when you're in the car, and it's just a great pace to get by and see things. And it's a really good workout.
You ride a lot.
As much as I can. Not as much as I used to, but as much as I can.
What advice would you give to motorists?
Not to be so ambivalent to cyclists. I think it's really important that drivers understand that cities were built for people 2,000 years ago, and they continue to be built for people, and that cars are just a way to get around the city, but they're not
the only way.
The cities don't serve the cars, and there's good ways to get around the city, plenty of room, and all the designs that are out there for bike lanes and roads are all within legal designs, and the drivers just need to be progressive enough to understand that the car is not the only way to get around the city.
Thing there.
And primarily it's by feet. Cyclists have a chance to get out there too, more and more, and deserve to be so, and cars will always be out there. So we just need to share the road, basically.
And what are the best tips for the cyclists? Okay, we covered the drivers. As for the cyclists, what can they do?
You've got to have your head rotating around. I think, especially in the more rural areas where people just aren't used to cyclists. Even in Salisbury, there's still the butting of heads between regular car users and the cycling community. And just being aware of your surroundings. Don't run the red lights. Obey the traffic laws, just like anyone else should. And even wearing a little side mirror on your helmet helps at all times. But just ride legally, be aware, and just be prepared for anything that's out there in front of you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Draper Media is a proud sponsor of the Ride of Silence. Give us the details again.
So the ride takes place around the world on the third Wednesday in May.
Okay.
On the Eastern Shore, this is the second annual ride. It takes place at 6 p.m. on May the 15th at Unity Square. It is a police-escorted 7-mile ride around Salisbury. It starts and ends at Unity Square. Plenty of parking at the parking garage.
Right. And 6 p.m., still a lot of sunlight, too.
Yes, enough sunlight to make an hour bike ride.
Pleasant. Wow. Guys, thank you so much, John.
Thank you.
Sarah Lee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, and we hope this all goes well.
Thank you.
Goodness.